Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank each of you for taking your time and for being here today. I think that each of us share the same goal. It is to support and protect amateur athletes as they compete and represent America on the international stage. These athletes carry Americans' hopes, dreams, and ideals. They shouldn't also be forced to carry the burden and the pain of abuse. This all started with the revelations of Larry Nasar's horrific abuse of the gymnasts that he was supposed to be caring for. The stories that his survivors describe are absolutely heartbreaking. We learned that some of his survivors had been abused by him for years. The description of his tactics that included sexually assaulting children with their parent in the room while he strategically blocked the parent's view, just so that the child would think this was normal, that it was all okay. So think about that. And the admission of cover-ups by the very people whose job it was to champion these little girls. That is really disturbing. After the horrors of Larry Nasar's abuse were revealed, this body rightly jumped into action and demanded better. Over 8 years later, we have to keep working to improve the environment that our athletes compete in. We don't have the luxury of inaction. We've never needed a well-functioning, independent, safe sport organization more than we do right now. The mental health epidemic in this country, coupled with the increasing reports of abuse of athletes, demands that safe sport get busy, get your act together, and live up to your mission. The truth of the matter is this: disgusting predators like Larry Nasar are still lurking in the shadows of our locker rooms, our ball courts, our gymnasiums. Safe sport was designed to root out those predators and make sure they never get within 100 yards of our young girls and boys. But instead, the reports coming from the athletes and the NGBs tell a story that is far from the standards that these young athletes deserve. Reports of investigating for years without coming to a resolution, of re-traumatizing survivors of sexual assault and conducting backroom inquiries without any transparency have become synonymous with U.S. Center for Safe Sport. Can you imagine being an athlete, training your whole life to stand on the world stage and represent the United States, only to be abused by your coach, your teammate, or your doctor? Can you imagine being a parent, trusting your precious child to the care of a coach just to discover that they have been assaulted in a place that should have been safe? And then can you imagine the very organization designed, purposefully, intentionally designed to protect your child, failing over and over again? That is the sad reality of what we're facing. For decades, the Olympics have provided some of America's most memorable sports moments. We've triumphed over the communists. We've dominated the competition. We've championed American ideals on the global stage. At the heart of all of that, of all that we're talking about today, are the athletes. We have a duty to protect them, and so we all want safe sport to succeed. We all want more cases to come to a resolution in a timely manner. Better collaboration between NGBs, athletes, and the center, and more bad actors rooted out of our locker rooms and gymnasiums. That's why I'm looking forward to having a very robust conversation today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Ms. French, thank you so much. I think you're the reason we're here, and we appreciate your willingness to speak up. One question for the entire panel, and I know we have interested parties in the audience. I'm going to open this to everyone in the room. How many of you think SafeSport needs reform? Raise your hand. I would say that's a majority. It certainly is, of people that are here. So, Ms. Colon, let me come to you because I appreciate your testimony today. I appreciate the phone call that we had earlier, and I know that you are working to make some changes. We've heard such troubling reports that during a SafeSport investigation, communication with the NGBs and the claimants is almost non-existent. Ms. French just mentioned that in her response to Senator Peters. And I really feel that this could end up being a dangerous situation for these athletes. They're young, they are training. I'm a mother and a grandmother. I think many times it's so important to have that communication to truly work through an issue. And when you don't share any information with the NGBs, then it really hamstrings their ability to keep bad actors away from the kids. Mr. Keller referred to this in his testimony. And particularly in instances where you use administrative closure, that leaves the claimant without a resolution. The NGB is left in the dark. And the sad thing about this is when you approach it that way, the abuse can continue because the abuser feels as if they got by with this and they beat the system. And on top of that, when you also keep information from survivors of sexual abuse, that is something that risks re-traumatizing them. And Ms. French mentioned that as something that's a need. So let's talk first about what are you going to do? What is the plan to improve the communication with the athletes, the claimants, the NGBs, so that we really go after ridding sports of these abusers? So very quickly.
Sure. Thanks for the question, Senator. There's a number of things that we're doing in order to increase transparency and communication, not only with athletes, claimants, respondents, NGBs, and others throughout the process, because we recognize that over the years, the communication has not been exactly what people have wanted, particularly on the NGB side, and it has made things difficult for them. And so, about 9 months ago, we started a top-to-bottom review of our entire investigative process because we wanted to, understand.
And when will that be completed?
We are actually making some announcements on April 1st. We're making announcements tomorrow to some NGBs, with some of these changes actually going into effect on April 1st.
Okay, that is a positive step. I know John Manley, who represented some of the survivors of the Nassar abuse, has said that he recommends his clients not to go through you all because your process can go for 497 days. He has said, his quote here, that they're slow, cumbersome, biased, and often handled incompetently. So getting some communication and then addressing the speed. What are you doing about timely manner?
So first, I would disagree with Mr. Manley's statements.
Well, those are his opinions.
Right.
And he's been in this process.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. As far as timeliness goes, part of the changes that we've made that I mentioned earlier will go to improve the efficiencies and timeliness of our investigation.
Do you need a shot clock put on SafeSport?
A shot clock?
A shot clock, that you've got maybe a certain period of time that you have to address this? As we've worked on issues with the NCAA, one of the things, Senator Booker and I have a bill. I mean, you get that, you've got to take an action, and if you don't, maybe after a year, you consider this resolved in the claimant's favor?
Where our goal is to not have any case go longer than a year. Like, that is our
Let
own
me
internal
ask you
personal
one more
shot clock.
thing then. You had an $11 million surplus in 2022 in your budget. So what exactly did you use that money for? And why did you not go hire more investigators and pick up the pace on these investigations?
We did. We did. In fact, we reduced the number of cases that were open in 2020, 2021, and 2022. We do have a reserve rather than a surplus in the budget, and that is going to be used to carry us through the next several years, because next year we anticipate a $1.5 million deficit.
Okay, thank you.